Om Katyayanaya Vitmahe Kanyakumari Dhimahi Tanno Durgi Prachodayat. Sisters and brothers, a loving namaskar to each one of you. I am once again pleased to be in the midst of you all at this ashram. Is mythology and symbols, and the third is philosophy. Religion without philosophy is blind. It is mere superstition. And philosophy without religion is lame. It is mere theory. So there has to be a good melding of these both, and all the time. And in religions which this did not happen, we find that they have been wiped out from the face of the earth. Then have disappeared because one or two of these elements have been missing. So as I said, in Hinduism, these two are prevalent throughout. And we find that in the Navaratri celebration, these come out quite clearly. The Navaratri is generally spread over 9 days, and it is divided into 3 parts of 3 days each. To Mother Kali, next 3 to Mother Lakshmi, and the last 3 to Mother Saraswati. Why is this so? So, a deep insight into this whole mythology, if you want to call it that, brings out the philosophy. Mother Kali, as we know, is the ferocious, terrible, relentless deity among the demons. So what are these demons actually? Are they outside? Are they inside? Are they in heaven? Are they on earth? Is the question. And the answer is they are within ourselves. Even in Islam, when they talk about jihad, they talk about the war against the demons within ourselves, not against each other. So in this first part of the worship of Allah, we find that the devotee has to wage. Sri Ramakrishna used to refer to them as the crocodiles. And he mentioned 6 of them. Desire, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Madha, and Matsarya, which is desire, anger, greed, delusion, mayum, and envy. And these are present in us at some time or the other, in some measure or the other. And in order to progress spiritually, one has to get rid of these. And the battle against these have to be ferocious. They have to be relentless. You can't ever step back and say, I'm going to take a few days off again. And this is what Mother Kali stands for. And when this war has been waged, then we can stand with sword dripping with blood in a victory dance and wear around ourselves the skull of those demons that we have put to death in the worship of Mother Kali. Now, just getting rid of these demons, these bad qualities, is not enough. Because as you know, an idle mind is the devil's workshop. So if you get rid of all, in order that one could move forward. In Patanjali Yoga, we find the Rishi Patanjali saying that every bad thought should be replaced with a good one. So every bad action has also to be replaced with a good one. So what happens next? This is where the cultivation of good qualities comes in. The Sanskrit word for quality is lakshan. And this is where Mother Lakshmi comes in. By invoking her, by surrendering to her, and by cultivating good qualities, we start to improve. We start to move from the animal state to a human state. We start to get closer to God. We start to understand, to some extent, our relationship with God. And we find then that we experience peace, devotion, and tranquility. Now, in this state is what is known as an adhikari. In other words, he is now qualified to move into spiritual life. He is now ready to move into the philosophy religion. And he applies himself by studying, by attending satsang, by listening to talks, and the such like. So satsang is an important part of one's spiritual development. All religions, well, should I say, all mainstream religions have satsang as one of their components. Christianity has their services on a Sunday. Islam has theirs on a Friday. The Jews have theirs on a Saturday. But Hindus have theirs every day. And that is what makes it even better. So now one applies oneself to self-improvement, to studying oneself as well as studying scripture in order to improve. And after some time then, one has reached a stage where he can, we have these three divisions as far as the worship of the Mother is concerned. Then another thing that is made clear here is the gunas and their activities in life. You see, the gunas actually the modes of nature. And gunas are present in everything, from the tiniest atom to the greatest mountain. In the atom we find protons, we find electrons and neutrons. But protons are always active. So the protons represent rajas. activity. Neutrons, they are quiet, they are silent. They represent tamas. And the the electrons are tamas. And the neutrons are neither active nor indolent. So in each one of us, then, there is these modes of nature present. Sometimes the one is predominant over the other. And in this way also, in nature, elements come into existence by the combination of certain atoms which have certain numbers of protons, certain numbers of electrons. So in us then, we could either have a preponderance of tamas, indolence, laziness, ignorance, darkness. These are the qualities of a person which has a predominance of tamas. Then there could be a mixture, even an equal mixture of tamas and rajas. And sometimes we find ourselves in that. We could be very active at some time, and then we want to sleep. And then there is the preponderance of rajas, total activity, total wanting to expand oneself, to show oneself off, to do things opulently. All of these are rajasic qualities. So they are there in all of us. And therefore, it is necessary for us to overcome these. Again, it is only by the grace of God, by the grace of the Mother, that this is possible. By praying sincerely to her, by praying to her with devotion. In the 12th chapter of the Devi Mahatmya, we find the Mother says that he who prays to me with concentration and devotion, to him I will give certain boons. So that is the important thing, concentration and devotion. Very often I see that pujas are without feeling the presence of God there, and so forth. So that, to some extent, is tamasic. So one has to rise above that. Sri Ramakrishna tells a good story about these three gunas. He says there was a man who was born by some highway robbers, and after robbing him, the one said, "Now let's kill him." And the other said, "No, let us tie him up to a tree." And the third just looked on. So they then decided they will tie him to the tree, and they did that, and off they went. After a short while, the person who was just a spectator came back, and he said to him, "Look, I'm very sorry about what has happened to you. Let me untie you, and I will show you the way back home." So he does just that, and he takes him to the road and says, "Now, go in this direction. This is the direction in which your house is." And the man says, "I want you to come along with me. I want to tell my family about what you have done for me and reward you as well." And then the robber says, "No, I cannot go with you. You have that person who wanted to kill, he represents tamas, and that person who tied the person up to the tree represents rajas, and the good person represents sattva. But just being with sattva is not enough. One has to go above it. And this is what this business of the man asking the robbed person to go his own way thereafter. So, having then, with or by the grace of the Mother, overcome these modes of nature that hold us back, that keep us from realizing who we really are. We have to rise even above sattva. Sitting in sattva is not good enough. And this is where we see Mother Saraswati playing her part. By her will only, by her grace only, is it possible to rise above what is known as apara vidya, which is the lower nature or lower knowledge, and attain para vidya, which is the higher knowledge. And having attained the higher knowledge, then one dances in victory, because these negative forces have been destroyed. Negative forces have been replaced with positive forces. And this is how the 10th day, Dasahara, comes into play. Because on this day, actually, one is supposed to celebrate the victory which Ravan was killed by Ram. And then we know that Ravan had 10 heads. So Dasahara also represents the 10 heads being slain. And the 10 heads represent the 5 sense organs and the 5 organs of activity. So all these, when they are under control, then only will one get the blessing of Ram. So these are the few ideas I wanted to share with you on the celebration of Navaratri. It is my prayer that each one of us, by the grace of Mother, by the grace of the Holy Trinity, progress spiritually by the day. Even though we may not, the importance is that we make the effort, start the trip. The first step starts the journey. So if we haven't really stepped out, then we are at a great loss. May the Great Mother bless us all with love, devotion, and knowledge. Om Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.